What's up, everyone? I'm just calling Erin right now to get her to join the Hangout. So let's just hang on 1 second. And Erin's here. Hey, what's up?
Good.
Let's see. Can you hear me pretty good?
What about me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Yay. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. So are you using your Blue Yeti as well?
I am not, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm using a Logitech, I don't know, some
You have the
camera.
C9,
It has a good microphone on it.
Is it the C920 like I have, probably?
Yes, that's right, because we have all matching gear.
Right. Cool. So what's up? Good morning. So yeah, unfortunately, Charisma wasn't able to make it for this interview. I'm trying to see if I can just catch up with her later on today. But again, this stream right now is private, to go live later on. I didn't want to do it live just in case, we had some technical difficulties or things like that. So it's just recording at this point, and then once we finish, it'll process and upload. So I will say that kind of dealing a little bit with congestion and stuff. So what I'll do is if I got to clear my throat or anything, I'll just. So you didn't hear that, right? Right. So I'll just go on mute, and I'll probably do that as you're talking because as you notice that whenever someone's talking, it jumps in and out. So I don't want to interrupt the flow. So, all right, everyone, welcome to the, well, it's not live stream, but welcome to the Google Hangout with me and Erin Wasmund from Trickle Down Autonomy. Just wanted to interview her and Charisma and just kind of talk about what they've done in the past as far as their careers, what they thought about the experience of shooting Trickle Down Autonomy, and maybe some other tips and advice to give up-and-coming actors or actresses looking to get into the film industry. So I guess we can go ahead and start. So I'm looking at my little interview questions right here. I would say if you could please just start with your name and where you're originally from and where you're currently at this moment.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Wasmund. I'm currently living in New York City, which is super exciting. And I was born in West Virginia, but I've lived kind of everywhere. So West Virginia, Texas, Pennsylvania, Florida. Yeah, but I'm in New York now. So
Cool. So how long have you been pursuing your acting career? I remember I think I saw that you had some theater training and stuff like that. So could you kind of tell us about when you got started with acting and kind of what got you interested in it?
Yeah. I mean, I've been pursuing acting professionally for probably 6 or 7 years now. But I first got interested in it when I've been doing it since I was basically out the womb. I've been dancing and doing all that stuff. But I remember seeing Bernadette Peters in a production of Annie Get Your Gun on Broadway when I was 9. And I just thought she was so amazing. I was like, oh, I want to do that.
Cool. So yeah, so would you say that's what got you interested in acting? Any other inspirations? So I would say, where would you draw most of your inspirations from? So like myself, it comes a lot from watching like just awesome movies, especially like some of the classics, like I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought right here, but a lot of Marlon Brando movies, like On the Waterfront, Notorious. That was Alfred Hitchcock's movie. And, just seeing like even some newer movies like I would say my top favorite movie at this moment is Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. And it was directed by Christopher Nolan, which I really wasn't all that excited about the Batman movies that he did. But, he did Inception and things like that. So, so yeah, could you kind of just tell us, maybe some of what, either if it was like Broadway or, movies themselves, you kind of just give us examples of, or give us an idea of what really inspires you or where you take your inspiration from?
Sure. I mean, this is going to sound so vague, but literally everywhere. Yes, film, obviously, and television is great. I love Oh my gosh, I love Doctor Who. At least I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, so I love Alien. And Sigourney Weaver is my favorite actress. I love The Matrix. I love Jurassic Park. I love all these great movies. X-Men. I'm a huge X-Men fan too. And just yeah, all this. I get excited when I see these movies and these TV shows, and anytime I hear anybody singing, I get excited just because that makes me happy, and just finding joy in things inspires me to create and to be a better artist. I mean, even when I'm sitting on the train now, like sometimes you just look around and you just think how many people are around you. There are maybe 60 people on this train with me, and they all lead individual lives that you've never thought of, and that's inspiring to me.
Right.
So sometimes I'll just like think, I'm like, oh, this is a great idea, or just letting myself be creatively uninhibited. So yeah, everywhere.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, could you tell us where exactly you got your start? Was it theater, short films, a combination of that? And did you take any like acting or training classes leading up to that?
Yeah. I started originally as a dancer. So I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. Started professional ballet training when I was 8, and all that fun stuff. And then kind of transitioned over into theater and choir and stuff like that. And it sort of just morphed into this creative like snowball. And yeah. What's the question? I'm sorry. I got excited.
That's fine. Like, were you very active in like, so, a lot of high schools, we have like theater arts and like, so were you always taking those classes and then maybe like,
Oh yeah.
outside of that and things like that? So
Yeah. I took voice lessons and ballet outside of school, and then in school I was just involved in the theater department and everything. It wasn't until I went to school for musical theater and acting that I training for acting. I've done like stuff here and there. I'd done some theater intensives in the summer, which was really beneficial. But it wasn't until college that I really started my classes that were every single week, and it was just wonderful. So that was 4 years. I went to Florida State University. And then after that, I've taken classes with Michael McCausland, who's an acting coach here in Houston. She's been in the Astronaut Wives Club. She's written a lot of articles for Backstage. She's just great. She's done a lot of commercial work as well. So between that and here and there, just picking up classes where I can.
right.
Training. You can never stop training. Right.
And what would you say the experience was like as far as like getting to network and things? Because I often talk about how I did go to quote unquote film school for a little bit when they had it at HCC Town and Country, and after I got out of the military. But I liked it for the fact that you're around a lot of people that are kind of doing the same thing you're doing as well. So I would say maybe if you're not necessarily enmeshed in that whole like, I guess, world, and it may be, I don't know if it's not as motivational to people if they're not necessarily involved in it. What was your take? Did you think did it feel did it seem like you were more motivated to do this stuff just being around it the entire time versus someone who may just dabble in it here and there? They may not kind of like just kind of be connected. What are your thoughts on that?
So you mean just like getting involved in general?
Yeah. So for instance, like right now, right. Yeah. So for instance, like in Houston, we don't really have a big filmmaking scene, but myself, I try to go to the meetup groups and, hang out in the Facebook groups and things like that. So I was just saying, I guess if you thought about it, and again, like you're in New York, so like you're in a community where there's a lot of creatives and things like that. So let's talk about it from that standpoint. What were your thoughts while you were here in Houston versus like because you lived in New York before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay. So yeah, let's transition into that. So let's say between your break from New York and living in Houston and then going back, like how did it feel like kind of being disconnected from that entire community? Because I'm going to go into something right after that whenever you answer this. So
sure. I think it's important to remember that in all of this, we are the constant. So even if you are in a thriving arts community like New York, if you are not putting yourself out there, if you're not networking, if you're just sitting at home, or if you're just going out all the time just to wherever you want and not focusing on networking, you're not going to network. So it doesn't really matter even what city you're in. If you're focused on what you want and who you're going to meet, then you will meet them by default. Houston, it's actually very easy to get involved, I feel like. Here it's a bit daunting because a lot of people have worked in the city before. A lot of people have had a lot of professional stuff under their belt. And so right now is getting back into the networking scene here, which is, I've only been here for a few weeks, so it's good to get back into it. But in Houston, it's like you join a couple Facebook groups and you're in, you know, you talk to people, you go to the film meetups, and you kind of realize like who the front runners are and who's doing a lot of good projects and that kind of stuff. And it's yeah, it's almost easier in a way, I think, in Houston to network just because the film community is so small there. Yeah,
cool,
it all
cool.
depends.
Yeah, and so I was thinking that, like, so for instance, because of the technology and everything, that's actually really because of the way the technological advances, because I was doing filmmaking between 2006, 2007, 2008. I kind of stopped because I wanted to actually get a quote unquote, you know, real degree and get a career and then come back to this with the money I make from my job. And I just thought that if I went somewhere, me, myself, as trying to be a director and writer and screenwriter, if I went out to LA or if I went out to Atlanta or if I went out to New York, I just felt that because there's a lot of people like me trying to do that, it'd just be too saturated. Whereas in Houston, I could stand out more. That was kind of my thinking. And it's not necessarily the same with actors and actresses because you guys go to where the work is, you know, whereas I'm trying to create the work. So that's kind of my motivation for kind of just staying in Houston right now, using social media and using the internet to really just kind of vault what I'm doing from a place where, you know, I can kind of have a little bit more chances of just standing out. So that was just my little spiel, but we'll go into the next thing is very interesting. How or where did you find my casting call for Trickle Down Autonomy?
I found it in two places, actually. Speaking of that email chain we were talking about with the film meetup group, it was on that, so I found it there. And then I also saw it in a Facebook group. So exactly what we were talking about before, that's where I found your casting calls.
Okay, cool. Because I actually did a video talking about, you know, telling other people, you know, where to place their casting calls and things like that. And I remember you were telling me about, what was it, Breakdown book, or I'm sorry.
Breakdown services?
Yes, Breakdown services. Yeah. So I'm looking to probably, okay, right. So I'm going to look to use that in the future. But yeah, it's always good to know where my casting calls are showing up because I did see my casting call, like it was someplace, but I didn't place it there. Like sometimes you'll have people go and grab casting calls, especially if you put that you're paying, and then they'll try to do something to where they'll post it on their site and to say, hey, to get access to this contact information, you need to sign up and blah, 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 which I think is pretty, you know, underhanded. But
I see exactly what you're saying, but there are a lot of services like Backstage is a big one. It was for a long time, it was local in New York, and you have to have a subscription to Backstage magazine where there are casting calls. So it's kind of similar. I mean, I definitely agree with you. If you take casting calls and make somebody pay for it, that's stupid. I think that's very underhanded. But if you're talking about the actual service, like even Actors Access, for us, we have to pay per submission, or we have to have a subscription fee that we pay like yearly. It's nominal, but it does cost a little bit of money. So it's like, I get it.
Right. So, and then, so maybe what would be some advice you would give to up and coming actors and actresses as far as trying to watch out to make sure that they're not, you know, run into any kind of like scammy type casting calls and things like that?
Yeah, the internet is a magical place. So a simple Google search often will kind of weed out some of the ones that are sketchy. And same thing with knowing who. The community is very small, and so you can oftentimes find out from either talking to a friend or, like I said, a Google search is wonderful, just to find out who is maybe not who you want to work with. But in general, just knowing your worth, I think, is something that we are, because we're told, oh, the next person's ready to take your job. Oh, there's another actor who's ready to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, this actor wanted to do this with nudity, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm going to put my bar here and that's it. And I won't take less money and I won't do, and that's, knowing your worth is a big thing as an actor. And the moment you see your worth, other people start to see it too.
Right. That sounds good. And I absolutely agree with you about the whole the importance of networking because again, like if you see something that you can ask other people and they'll probably know who that person is. Interesting enough, there's been something that's been going around in one of the Facebook groups a lot. Apparently, there's a guy here in Houston who's very shady and has got, I don't know his name, but I've seen his photo, his mugshot, and all that. Someone's taken upon himself to really just kind of keep us updated as to what's been going on with the guy. But apparently, he's been, like abusing production assistants and just doing really scammy, underhanded stuff. So that's why it's a good idea to be plugged into the scene because, like you said, it's a very small community. And it's also a good reason why to not try to screw people over because, you may end up running into those people again because it's so small. So
And
cool. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That being said, I think it's important too to research those people that are also posting that stuff. I have no doubt that this person has their best interest in heart, but sometimes there are people who have a personal vendetta who will slander other people in hopes that they will take somebody else down. So it's important to know too, and just that's part of the networking and knowing people and being like, is this person for real or did this really happen? That kind of thing. So you're actually informed as opposed to just parroting whatever you find. So yeah.
Right.
Everything with a grain of salt.
No, absolutely agree. I was just going to say this one was particularly interesting because they were posting like the police reports of this guy. So
oh yeah, I saw it too.
But no, I agree because you can run into a situation to where like if you worked with somebody and you didn't like them, then you can absolutely try to tear their career down. So yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So I did want to talk about I remember when we did the table read at Starbucks the first time we all three met, and you and Charisma took it upon yourselves to exchange contact information, and you were talking about just kind of like practicing with each other via Skype. And I thought that was very interesting because you guys had kind of just took it upon yourselves to just kind of really learn the script and things like that. And again, that was the first time I had learned of the term off book. And I'd never heard that before, but you guys were kind of just talking about it and explaining to it. So if you could you kind of tell me about, what that experience was like if you guys ever did get a chance to practice outside of what we did, because I know we only did one rehearsal. And then if you could explain to the audience what off book means.
Sure, absolutely. The actor's job is to portray the most real version, the most true version of the script that is possible. And the only way that we can really affect that, truly make that effective, is if we know our lines 100%, and if we have a relationship with each other and we things and trying to get things from each other. That's just the basis of acting. So if we are busy focusing on the lines, how can we possibly fight for something? They're conflicting because that character is not thinking about the lines. So it's crucial to me to be off book. It's crucial. I learned that the hard way in college because I tanked on a couple of my scenes, and it was really embarrassing because then they're like, so you don't know your lines? I'm like, yeah, I don't know my lines, which is bad, but it was a really good lesson because I will never ever do that again. But being off book means that you're just memorized. You're off script. You're not anything. I think it's a theater term. I've heard it forever, so I don't even know where it originated, but I think it's a theater thing. And yeah, it's crucial. So to have that relationship and for us to line snap back and forth just to say our lines as fast as possible with no intention, just so we memorize, that's great. We rehearsed a few times on Skype. We play with each other because the time to play and experiment and rehearse is not on set. It's too late. It's too late. If you're finding moments on set, it's too late. I think, and that's a theater thing for me too, is that's the beauty of rehearsal. Rehearsal is my favorite part of the process because you really get to play with each other and find out what buttons you can push to get out of the other person. I love it. I love it. So excited about it with Charisma is because she was so receptive to that and so willing to play with me. And sometimes you don't always get scene partners like that. So
right. Yeah, that's cool. And I do like the rehearsal part as well. This was the first time I've actually done a rehearsal in one of my short. I've done 2 other projects prior to this, but this is the first time I actually did a rehearsal. And what came of that was because in some of my other short films, not all of them, and I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but I really tried to you know, press the thing to try to get people to memorize the script, because I know I write a lot of dialogue, and I try to tell them that, you know, if you memorize it, then you can anticipate what the next person is going to do, and you can focus more on your presentation and how you're going to deliver your lines rather than trying to remember what you need to say, which is exactly what you talked about. And during the rehearsal, I like that part because, you know, it's all of y'all just come together to work together at the first time. And then you kind of get an idea of each other's style. And, you know, people get an idea of my style. I mean, I tend to be very like, I want to say very, I know exactly what I want, and I try to get that out of actors. And you guys did terrific. And I will tell the audience this, that whenever you guys showed up the day we were going to shoot, I mean, you guys didn't look at the script at all. You just went off to the side and kind of just rehearsed your thing back and forth. And I thought that was awesome. So, and again, as I mentioned to you, I think you were kind of surprised when I told you this the other day when we did the test call was, excuse me, I specifically said that for this project, based on the past experiences, that I needed someone with theater training. And that's why I brought out the monologues, because I was like, if people can go through the monologues and do this without, you know, stopping and looking at something, then, you know, I think they'll do very good with my material. And I think I selected you based on some stuff you had done in the past, but then I saw you had that theater training. I'm like, yeah, so she knows about, you know, memorizing lines and things like that. So cool. So let's see what's next. So yeah, maybe tell us what you're currently working on. Are you have any projects in queue, or are you just kind of doing auditions? How, I know you say you just got back to New York, so how are things going for you in that regard?
They're wonderful. I'm auditioning pretty much every day. The film world and theater world are a bit different in that regard. Film, you kind of celebrate every single audition because you have to get an audition. And in theater, it's mostly just cattle calls. So I'm going to a lot of cattle calls, but I'm getting good feedback, getting great experience, getting to work on new material, which is wonderful. Meeting people at auditions, networking in itself is great. Yeah, so I'm just ready for the next project. I'm excited. I've got my apartment. I've got my survival job. So I'm doing good. I'm doing well. So I'm just excited for the future.
Awesome. And would you just say in general that there are probably more opportunities there in New York than they were in Houston?
Oh, for yeah. I mean, it's like a theatrical mecca up here, you know. It's not only are there 25 Broadway shows running right now, there's also off-Broadway, there's off-Broadway, so you might be theaters in Brooklyn or Queens or something like that. And then there's also tours, national tours that audition here, regional theater work auditions here. And, you know, in Houston, it's great. It's got a very small theater scene, got a lot of non-union work. But for union, it's pretty much just the alley, stages, Main Street. Is Main Street? Ooh, is there, I think they're union. Yes, they're union. And then also Theater Under the Stars, of course. So you've got a few theaters that you can work for, but if you want to work other places, then New York is the place to be because there's so many that come there to go there. So I'm working on getting into the film scene right now. I've got to find a way to get in there. So I'm auditioning for some agencies next week. So I'm excited for that. And yeah.
Cool. Well, good luck. Hopefully you're showing them the demo reel we put together for you from Trickle Down Autonomy. I think you're doing a kick-ass job on that. So yeah. And let's see. So what is your ultimate goal for in the acting world? Like and I mean, for instance, like me, myself right now, you know, I'm currently writing, directing, producing short films, just broadcasting them. With my ultimate goal, I stated becoming a world-renowned Hollywood film director. So that is my end goal. But of course, I'm enjoying the journey along the way, you know. So what would you say your end goal, or what would be your, like, you know, main like goal? Would it be like acting, Broadway, Hollywood, television, or combination of all three? Or, you know, what would you say?
Combination of all three. I really want a Broadway show. I really, Alphabet and Wicked is mine. It is mine. I will play it. I will play it one day. Elphaba, mine. But
And
also, I'd
who
love
is
a
that?
tour in Wicked,
Okay, okay.
the musical. Yeah. So yeah, that's my big goal. That's the one I really want. But I would love
So
it. I want a television show. I want a movie. I want longevity in my career. I don't really care about fame. That's not something that's actually a factor for me at all. But I do want to continue to create, and I do want to act in any facet. Yeah.
and so we do know that sometimes actors get involved with like writing and directing and things like that. Any ambitions for you as far as acting? I mean, writing and producing or directing or anything like that?
I think there will be a future for me in it. I haven't really explored much more than acting, but I love working with actors, and I like teaching acting. Actually, I really like that, and I like trying to, as a director, I feel like I can elicit some good things from my actors. Writing, I'm actually just getting back into writing. I stopped for a long, long time because I wrote this horrible thing when I was in whatever. It was awful. But I'm working on journaling some more now, just writing creative ideas, not judging my work, which is a big thing. And I'm working on that right now is being able to like, no, this is actually really good, or this was a good moment, or this was clean and stuff like that. And it's just more productive as opposed to self-destructive. So yeah, I think there might be a future for me in that. But right now I'm focusing on acting.
Sounds good. And I would recommend as well just kind of being focused on one thing because it would, I would say, it will pan out for you in the end. I would say a very good example of this would be John, and I'm probably messing up his last name, but it's Favreau. Now
Favreau?
remember, yeah, right. So remember he started off in the, and it may have not been his first movie, but Swingers was the one that really just stood out to me,
Great.
right? And it's about like struggling actors and things, which
Yeah.
I love that movie. And years later to look at him like he's directed the Iron Man movies and he's doing other big things. So yeah, I see a lot of actors and actresses, they kind of like get really good in what they're doing, and then that leads to more opportunities to say, I'm at this level now, so I can start branching out and doing some things. Cool, cool.
He was always sort of a jack of all trades, which I love about him, is that he
Really?
always
Okay.
was writing and acting and directing. It's great.
Okay.
I love him. I like his work. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. So what advice would you give to up and coming actors and actresses trying to get started in acting and things like that? Would you recommend them take like some acting classes, or watch YouTube videos? Kind of what advice would you give them, and maybe some things to um, that they could watch out for so they wouldn't get taken advantage of as just starting out as newbies?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is knowing your worth, like what we were talking about earlier. But always train. You can never train too much. You really can't. And there's really nothing that you can't do as an artist, training wise, that won't benefit you. If you want to take a pottery class, take a pottery class, because you're encouraging the creative side, and something about that will come through your work in some other facet. But yeah, training is very important. Networking is really important too. And also creating your own work is something that I think casting directors and people in Hollywood, across the whole board, everybody is saying the same thing. That's create your own projects. If you don't see a market for yourself, create your own stuff. We can do anything on cell phones. We can do stuff with cameras. I mean, people are shooting things on iPhones that are getting nominated at festivals. That's amazing. So if you want to write, write.
Right.
I mean, like, who's stopping you? You. Get out of your own way is my advice, because that's a big thing for me, and I'm still working on that, obviously. But yeah.
Sounds good. And would you agree with this, that maybe like if you're just starting out and relatively unknown and you're really just trying to make a mark somewhere, maybe starting out with like a monologue or something, just kind of like something that you self-record and put on YouTube and maybe submit it that way?
Sure, but the only thing that's worse than no reel is bad reel.
Okay. Right.
So, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing and you just tape a monologue and it's, I don't know. I would say proceed with caution. Get with an acting coach, somebody who can help you. Don't completely look like an amateur, really, because honestly, sometimes that's, especially in New York, there's a lot of that. Like, if you look like an amateur, you won't get even seen. But yeah, get yourself out there. Absolutely. definitely don't be afraid to seek help as well, because if you're training, it doesn't mean that you're not a good actor. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. I mean, gosh, Stella Adler is teaching, and everybody was taking classes with her until they were past Oscar winning. People are still training. So yeah, train.
Cool. Sounds good. And you know, honestly, I didn't know the importance of like with actors and actresses as far as training and things like that. And part of me, like not knowing what really goes on, I just assumed that it was just maybe like, it's kind of cliched, but they always say something like you either have it or you don't, and I don't necessarily know if that's necessarily true in this world.
I kind of agree with that and kind of don't. Obviously, if you have like a natural or potentially going to be better than somebody who's focusing on how their lines come out. But it's all about suspension of belief in your own brain.
Right. Cool.
Which is hard to get away from. It's hard to forget that you're Erin and try to become somebody else. It's tough to get out of your own way. So yeah.
Cool. And one last question for you. So because of the fact that you like Broadway musicals and things like that, so I would say La La Land, you've watched that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. To be honest, the music isn't my favorite. I love the individual things. I just wish that they'd incorporated more, especially because the writers who are Pasek and Paul have a musical right now on Broadway called Dear Evan Hansen. They've also written several different song cycles and stuff. Their writing is really good, and I wish that they could have incorporated more because I know they have the talent to do it. It's like, oh, come on. But I loved the movie. I thought that Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone were wonderful. That scene at the kitchen table, man, right here. Yeah, so I loved it.
Cool. I haven't seen it, and I haven't watched a lot of musicals, but Little Shop of Horror with Rick Moranis, that was my favorite. And then also one really good one was, have you ever seen Cabaret with Liza Minnelli?
Obviously. I've obviously played both of these characters already.
Right. So, yeah, I love the movie because it's like a movie, but it's still got musical elements in it. And actually, I believe it started on like as a Broadway show or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's got superb acting, directing. I'm like, God, yeah. I watch the movie often because of just the directing and acting in it. So
yeah,
cool.
They're great.
Right. So, I thought I had this on solid. Oh, well, I guess it's because I got open. So, Erin, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. And again, much success to you out there in New York. I know that you're probably getting a lot of support from friends and family and things like that, because I know that can probably be tough, a tough scene out there, but much success to you. And if you want people to follow what you're doing, you want to shout out your Instagram handle?
My Instagram is at Erin_Waz, W-A-Z. Yeah. And that's my Twitter too.
Cool. And I'll link that up in the description box as well. So everyone, thanks again for checking out this interview with me and Erin. And just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of what an actor and actress does in their day-to-day, and just kind of give you some inside access to someone who's actually in industry pursuing that career. So thanks again, Erin, and I'll let you go do what you have to do for today, because I know you got some auditions and things you're going to check out. And you said it, I think I saw on your Instagram earlier today, it's snowing there, right?
It's snowing right now. Do you want to see?
You can show us if you want.
Yeah, look. Can you see it? Can you or no?
I saw it on the railing, right?
Yeah, well, I'll show you here. I'm going to totally derail your interview just so I can show you the snow.
Toward the end. So
Snowing.
Wow. And here in Houston,
like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, here in Houston, it's like it's hot. Like last night I went to the rodeo and I was just sweating my butt off. I was like, Jesus, walking around. So yeah, guys. I'm jealous you get to go to the rodeo. You say what?
I'm jealous you guys to go to the rodeo. I'm not gonna go this year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I actually hadn't been since I had been a kid, so it was actually a very interesting experience. I think when I was a kid, I went to the carnival part, but I didn't actually go to the actual rodeo. So last night was very interesting. I loved it. It was, I just really didn't understand what it's all about. And here I am, a native Houstonian, not going to rodeo. So it's kind of jacked up, right? So again, you guys go check out Erin on Instagram and Twitter. I'm following her as well. So shout out your handle just one more time.
At Erin_Was with a Z.
All right. All right. Well, again, thanks, Erin. And we're going to end this broadcast. And all of you guys, you're not watching it live, but you will catch it on the replay. So thanks again, Erin. And I'll talk to you again later.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Bye.